Okay, I'm here to do some of the problems on the midterm exam review, and I will start with problems 1 and 2. And problem 1 is asking how many IP addresses there are in various classful networks, and this is a straightforward problem. If we have Class C networks, that's part A, then we are looking at networks where the number of bits in the network address is 24 and the number of bits in the host address is 8. Okay, and so the number of possible networks is the number of possible network addresses, which is 2 to the n, which is 2 to the 24th. And using that old trick that I showed in an earlier video, 2 to the 20 or to 10 plus 10 plus 4. Each time we have 2 to the 10, it's about 1,000. So we have 1,000 times 1,000 times 2 to the 4th. 2 to the 4th is 16, so this is about 16 million addresses. 16 million Class C networks, that is. Okay. If we look at Class B networks, N is 16, H is 16. Here I'm using sort of the standard way of breaking up an IP address into some number of bits N that describes the network, some number of bits S which describe a subnet, and finally some number of bits H which describe the number of hosts. And here we're just looking at classful networks, so S is 0 and N plus H adds up to 32. And so the number of nets here is 2 to the n again, or 2 to the 16th, which is about 64. 2 to the 6th is 64, 2 to the 10th is about 1,000, so it's approximately 64K networks. Okay, 64,000 networks of size Class B. Each of them has the number of IPs in each of those networks is 2 to the H, which is also 64,000. Okay, and finally for part C, the Class A network, N is 8, H is 24, and there aren't so many of these networks. The number of networks is 2 to the n, or 2 to the 8th, which is 256. But each one of them is gigantic. The number of IPs per network is 2 to the h, which is this 2 to the 24th, or about 16 million. And in fact, the Class A private address, 10.x.x.x, is a nice example of a private Class A network that you can use behind a NATed firewall, for example, and you've got access to a lot of addresses there, 16 million addresses. Very flexible. Okay, so that's problem number 1.